Welcome back to Book of Dawn, IOTH Academy. I'm Tormented by Gnomes, your host, and this is Squeaky.
Yay!
And that was Squeaky.
Went to the other group. Y'all got
It's in
20
the grand hall now.
Was
That's very fitting, actually.
Was I too dramatic? What happened?
I don't know. He just wanted to jump.
Just saw a shusha struggling.
Oh, I was like so excited for you all to meet Archer, my dog, who is the culprit of Squeaky during the first half of the episode. And then
Really
he just
wanted to meet
went,
Io.
nope.
Just popped right out.
Gotta
Well,
pay an appearance fee, you know. Doesn't appear for just anyone.
that's true. That's true. If it's not in the contract, you know, we don't work for exposure. Good gracious. Welcome back, everybody. If you're just joining us, we just tried to introduce you to Necra's dog. That failed. Our heroes have arrived at IOTH Academy. They have ended up living in the Grove, which is an outdoor forest village environment. And it has to do with the fact that they're all somehow attuned to the element of fire and to life. It has not been explained to them very much, but they're 10 years old. And honestly, a lot of the grown-ups aren't making much of an effort to explain things to them at this point. They're just trying to get them settled in and sorted out. But they have their opportunity for their first meal. And it is not, despite what Sventisko, the tall girl with the turquoise eyes, warned you about, it is not bark and bugs. There's a lot of fruits and veggies in it. It's all quite fresh. There are a few like different sides of meat, some sort of venison, roasted. You know, we're eating with our hands here. We're not using a whole lot of cutlery. Which it's available because there's folks from a wide variety of cultures, so it is available. But a lot of the cuts of meat are like, you know, on the bone or whatnot. Alexander, the food is amazing. The food is so good. Oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
How does he take to it?
Yeah, probably just tries to observe like other people and kind of like copy the amount of like proportions. But actually, probably at this point, look to like Athalor and like line up like behind like Athalor, like getting food and stuff, and just like take kind of like as much as he does. Tries to like mimic and copy.
Athalor on his way for the meal is quite quick to go for the cutlery.
Mm-hmm.
Having been raised in a proper Dawn Elf household, we don't eat like mongrels here. So he's one of a few cutlery users. I don't know if Alyxander will attempt to mimic that. But
He'd grab some, whether he's gonna use it. Grab some,
But he's
though.
got it now.
Mhm.
Oh, Ariana does
lives
not.
a life of plenty, so
Ariana's just
grabs a fair amount of food.
We all know how Ariana eats.
Mm-hmm.
She's ravenous. She loves food. She definitely like stock up the plate as much as she can, knowing how much she can eat, and like doesn't grab silverware at all.
I probably grab like silverware too, but I'm probably most attracted to the like fresh fruits and stuff, thinking probably a lot of the things I ate were like imported and maybe not as fresh. So now I'm like having fresh fruit and I'm like, wow, this is really, I have never had something this fresh before. And I'm just piling on fruits.
This is also a bit of a reminder to you of a life that you used to live, that you haven't lived for a few years. So the quality of the food is definitely up there.
Is Garnet visibly very into the fresh fruits?
Yeah.
Do they not have those where you're from, Garnet?
Oh, yes, plenty. And more than this, but just not this fresh. I feel like this was just picked minutes ago. Here, have a taste. And I like put a grape in his mouth or something.
Athalor gets grape mouthed, but looks quite affronted by it.
Oh,
Very nice, thank you. Please
Do you
don't do
taste
that
those
again.
juices? Usually it's much more bitter. These are definitely in season, and I'm piling on more fruits.
Oh,
I didn't get any of the fruit. Can I have a bite?
Careful,
I
she'll
put a
just go
grape in
straight
his
for
mouth
the-
too.
Just Grape.
Great.
This is very good. Yeah.
I start like, because I have so much fruit on my plate, I see his plate and just kind of tip my plate and like use his silverware, not touching with my hands, obviously, and just put a little bit on his plate. You
In
need the
terms of tipping,
vitamins.
for plate geography, am I like opposite Alex? Garnet's next to Alex.
I leave
I'm
it in your.
opposite
I leave the
Ariana.
creative aspect in your hand.
On Ariana and I are
Yeah.
on one side, and Garnet and Alex on the other. If
Yeah,
it's like a
that sounds good.
four-person table.
I'm
That'll
like,
work.
oh, this one has vitamin D. Oh, this one has C, and these have these omega acids that are very good for you. And I'm like explaining all this like health stuff to Alexander. Make sure you get lots of these. And then I'm like putting some on his plate.
Yeah, okay, that has, yep, okay, sure. Will do, thank you.
Ariana is very quietly just continuing to stuff her face.
The animator is straight up skipping frames as the eating is commencing.
Athalor's just kind of like staring over at Ariana. It's like, how much of the alphabet is she getting? Looking over at Garnet and her encyclopedic knowledge of micronutrients.
All right. Meal winds to a close. It's a long meal period. The more stringent school schedule has not yet kicked in. The shushers are back at it. They seem to be working alongside. They're wearing the black robes, but they seem to be working alongside a group of people who are wearing more simple brown robes, who were here tending to the grounds when you showed up. They all seem to be out there waiting for you. And there's definitely more of an air of patience about them. If the shushers are universally walking around herding students, these folks probably are attached to this place and are more likely to stick around, whereas the shushers are eager to leave.
Do they do what you do, Ariana? The brown robes?
I don't know. I guess we could always ask at some point, but I'm not entirely sure.
My father told me there are a lot of refugees around here hiding from, well, everything. I wonder if they work here under the protection of IOTH.
That would make sense.
There may be
way to know for
non-magical
sure.
people within the academy.
Alex,
Hmm.
a cold voice speaks in your mind.
You've never seen anybody allowed in there. The great Magus would not accept such a lowly folk. You'd know better than anyone else.
Alex just kind of like looks towards the brown robes a bit more like intently for a couple of moments, and then turns to Athalor and asks, "Who's your father?"
My father is a great magic wielder from our Dawn Elf recluse. He keeps the world between worlds. It's a huge, marvelous task, and one day I'll do it too. He seems very proud, as if like reciting it rote.
That sounds very important.
Oh yes, without my father, our elven world would simply split between the realms that you know from your books. Well, he looks over Alex for a second and then decides against a snarky comment. Your books.
Alex looks towards like whatever book he had here, probably put down. It's all tattered, has some loose leaf pages in there. Looking
Yeah.
also pretty not well kept. Nods at that.
Mm.
Did Ariana make the flower thing yet?
Oh yeah, she kind of put it aside because
Oh, okay.
Food.
she was eating. But now that she has done, yeah, food. But now that she's done, she remembers that she had something, and so she takes the flower that she had stuck by her bedside.
That's a rather
Somewhere,
sneaky thing.
a very
Aggressive
unhappy
response.
child is sitting outside the grand hall moping as they try to sort out the paperwork error that has resulted in him being here, wondering if this is his first and his last day in the glorious IOTH Academy, and his sad squeaks just sort of carry upon the wind. It's like he's still with us.
I'm crying right now. Oh my god. Anyway. Hello. Archer, will you let me talk?
I thought we got rid of him.
All right.
Didn't we
Anyway,
teach this, Lucy?
Dude, he's aggressive about it too. Oh my
I'm so sorry.
It's totally okay. It's totally fine. Let's come back to the flower, shall we?
Okay.
We'll come back to that.
Alex will turn to Garnet and say, "Oh, I wanted to ask earlier. Did you draw that on your hand?" And kind of like gestures towards the bird, kind of like birthmark that she has in her hand.
This whole thing, just born with it, can't get rid of it. I usually have gloves on, but I don't want to go out of uniform here, so.
Having not got a previous look at it, Athalor attempts to like just grab her hand and inspect. Oh,
Again,
is this cultural art?
is Athalor proficient in religion?
Let me have a look at what we've got. 2.
You know, he's very learned. I would let him make the check. It would match with his background. A 17. So, in the world of Anacra, there are many different gods, goddesses, deities of all sorts, but most of the original ones who haven't risen from mortality, or the local god of this mountain or that river or whatnot, the most powerful gods are the sovereigns, the 4 elemental sovereigns, from whom the world was shaped. They are responsible for shaping the world. They've done many of the great deeds of the world. They divided the dawn into the 4 kingdoms to save it from the Infernals long ago. They're sort of the primary deities, the 4 gods of the elements. Beneath them are their offspring, the Titans. And each of these Titans, they tend to be, if you have one sovereign of fire, then the Titans might be a Titan of both air and fire, sort of a family tree radiating out. It's not quite Greek mythology where there's just tons and tons of banging going on, and you've like it's a freaking TMZ chart of the gods.
Welcome to Deity TMZ.
The Titans, they might actually be children, they might be creations. Things get very abstract when you're talking about the elemental deities in terms of gender identity or even their very essence. But you recognize this symbol. This is a symbol of Athalor, the Sunrider. Athalor is a Titan of fire and air, is widely worshipped in the western kingdom of Brontha, one of the great city-states of the Priest Kings. Athalor is associated with the sun, with light, with truth, and with the cycle of birth, life, death, and renewal.
For the context of just Dungeons and Dragons as a whole, is Garnet still a gemstone as well?
Yes, Garnet is also a gemstone.
Oh. Is this about your namesake, Garnet? Very fiery.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, it's a lot, great, all that. I take back my hand.
Mm-hmm.
Continue to feed myself grapes. And I'm like trying to avoid talking by having a mouthful. Athalor.
Well, at least you're not some kind of deranged cultist. And then he just kind of like looks over towards Ariana, just like, next.
Well, I have the flower ready now. I want to revisit that again. Woo!
I put my plate down.
Yeah, so I pull out the flower that I put by my bunk and I turn to Garnet and I basically say, "Here, I made this for you. You should take it. I remember that you really wanted one on our walk here."
This is incredible. And I take the flower. You made this. How? And I like smell all of it. Wow.
Yeah, I've been practicing a lot of earth magic and just, you know, working up to growing plants and things like that, and that's a flower I'm really familiar with, so I hope you like it.
You know how sometimes weird stuff happens when Ariana uses her magic? Like sometimes unintentional side effects happen? Well, in this particular case...
Behold, an act of God!
Come on! Oh, come on!
Oh!
I already sniffed it.
Flower go boom.
Oh, God.
What?
Earth's trove. Stones kissed by sunlight. The treasures of the world. Okay, that's actually not bad. That's actually not bad. And chat did give us a treasure earlier. So, something odd happened when you were casting the spell here, Ariana, to make the flower. There was this weird squeaking sound.
From beyond the pale of time and space comes the ineffable squeak of fate.
Vengeance will be mine! The flower, upon contact with Garnet, crystallizes. It maintains its shape, its color, but there's a sound almost like wind chimes. And, you know, sort of this crystal tinkling as the whole thing crystallizes, transforming from living, breathing plant into gemstone.
As the flower begins to do weird shit, Athalor tries to like take Alyxander, just go. as if it was gonna blow.
I look at Ariana very concerned. Did I do something wrong? Am I supposed to? Is it because I didn't water it yet? Is it because it's not in the ground? Is it because is it missing oxygen? I start blowing on it. Why? Did I do something wrong?
Did your garden crystallize before it caught fire last time?
Ariana is so beside herself and confounded with this that all she can do is make this squeaking noise. Which is why you don't hear her at the moment.
Is it like a fragile, like crystal thing going on, or?
Fairly, yes. You don't have nature as a skill, right?
No.
Okay.
Am I allowed to check what's going on? Because
Yeah.
that's obviously abnormal, right?
Yeah.
That has never happened to me.
No, and it happened as soon as she took it. Roll an Arcana or a Nature check. You will get different information, and anybody who's here who's proficient in either of those skills can... Okay, natural 20. All right.
Well, damn, Daniel.
That's your second one. You're crazy.
Alright.
You're cracked.
Okay. Dang. So, a natural 20. I mean, there's only so much that you can get around with that. Something innate to Garnet's magic transformed the flower. The way that the two interacted. There's something unique about her, something different from everybody else, a type of magical energy that nobody else in this room possesses. And when it interacted with your magic, it turned it into this living gemstone.
Ooh.
Also, given that you have in fact studied magic in your home refuge, you know that you have some hint about Garnet's true nature, that she appears human, but she is not.
Oh, exposed?
I wouldn't expose her like that though. I would definitely try to like dissuade her concerns and be like, it's nothing you did wrong. It's nothing you did wrong. I think that there's just some way that our magic is interacting right now that crystallized the flower. But look at it this way, Garnet, you get to have it forever now.
Okay.
Have you held a flower
Okay.
before? Did that happen before?
I killed it, Alexander. I don't want to hold any flowers anymore.
Sventisco reaches down, grabs a like just rips up some grass and says, "Here, touch this grass."
I like hold my hands to myself. I don't want to kill it.
Sorry, Alexander. She talked over you, but you can go ahead now.
Oh, sorry.
No. The character I was playing. You were fine. I was rude. Go ahead.
No, you're fine as to say. How did you? So you've never held a flower before?
Not this kind.
Perhaps you
Maybe.
should hide it.
I think it
Why?
has something to do with the fact that I made it. Not that Garnet can't hold flowers, but that I made it and something in our magic worked together.
There's only one way to find out. Sventisco waves the grass in your face.
Okay, I
Alex
touched the
Alex
grass.
tries to Alex tries to intercept. It's like, no, get the
Oh.
grass. She doesn't want the grass.
Am I gonna fail plant class?
What if I make another one and Alex takes it this time? Because you were
Okay.
going to take one on the walk too.
Alex kind of like blushes a little bit, looks down, and says, I was.
All right, so
You can
Ariana tries
try.
to make another one.
Okay, roll an Arcana check. Okay, you make another one. It's not quite as vibrant as the first one that you created, but you've got another one here.
I hand it to Alex and I'm like, try?
Alex reaches out and kind of like a little bit apprehensive, but kind of like pulls his head back, but hand extends and grabs it.
Okay, Alex, for a moment, your bones ache with an icy cold that passes through them. And you can see the faint tint of rot and wilting gathering around the edges of the flower for just a moment.
It's like,
And then it stops. You're the only one
deep-
who noticed it.
Yeah, I think Alex would kind of like. Was this happen like as he grabs it?
Yeah, the moment that you touched it. It was like
Yeah,
that cold
I was
power
kinda like-
flowed through you and then cut itself off.
I was kind of like panic and like drop it like on the table or whatever, like for a
Mhm.
moment, and just be like, hear the laugh, and just look around, go to pick it up again, then look back down and say, I was going to give this to Garnet earlier for healing my hands, but I don't know if you want it anymore. But it didn't turn to gems, at least.
I look at his flower and look at mine. We kill plants. Aww.
So I want to point this out, by the way. The rot was barely noticeable.
Oh,
it's
okay.
it's
Never mind.
almost imperceptible. You can roll a check to see if you perceive it, but it just started and then immediately stopped. He's being trolled.
Gonna make a comment on the low ass Arcana check that I got earlier. Athalor just kind of leans over, drop flower. Oh, I've read about this in my books. So, from what I can tell, this flower is not on fire. Congratulations, Ariana.
Oh, you can read and see. Oh. Well, I appreciate it, Alexander. Maybe we'll find some flowers that are nicer out there. But this is pretty. It shines. It's just not alive.
Yeah, I mean, it looks nice. I don't know if I want to say it's like an upgrade. I don't know if that's offensive. And looks at Ariana, but it's glittery and shiny.
Oh, can you do me? Do me. How many can you make?
Can you turn
I can make another one.
Turn him into gems? Sventisco pops in. Because if you could do that, that'd be amazing.
No.
I do try to make another flower.
All right, roll an Arcana check.
Just sort of looks indignantly at the taller guy.
Oh.
A natural
Congrats.
1. As Ariana
There's no
focuses,
fire in this one.
As Ariana focuses, the table catches on fire.
Oh, great. Great.
Alex like abruptly like pushes his chair back, like stands up, tries to like distance himself from the fire.
All right.
I thought kind of just like, I asked for this.
I guess my limit is the magic number 3. I am never going past that limit ever again.
2 flowers, only 2.
Yeah. Oh god, I'm gonna get in so much trouble, aren't I? I start putting out the fire as quickly as possible. Like I take a blanket from the like the bed and just start like smacking the crap out of the table.
I want to give Garnet a chance to react, and then barring any intervention, we go straight to that.
Because we have like robe. Is it like a robe? Like have a cape, or is it just like robe?
It's just like a robe,
Okay.
like almost like choir robes, really.
I kind of try and position my back, or like kind of spread my robe as much as I can to obstruct the vision from anybody. It's like nothing to see here, nothing to see here at all. Nope. And I kind of just watch Ariana try and put out the fire.
And here we see the Bronthan Firebird performing its traditional "nothing to see here, move along" dance.
See here, move along, move along.
I thought it looks literally over just a little bit. Alexander just go.
Alexander's like several steps back at this point.
I'm helping.
All right, Ariana, as you start to pat it out, one of the shushers walks over. What did you do? It's just dinner. We were so close. I was almost going home. Why is it on fire?
I don't know. I'm putting it out. It's fine.
One of the folks in the brown robes, a younger looking gentleman, pushes past the shusher, gives him a weary look, waves his hands over, and water pours out and sloshes over the table, knocking things left and right, but immediately extinguishing the fire. He then leans down, waves his finger, no magic at the dinner table.
Understood. Never again.
All right.
I'm hiding like the crystallized plant behind me.
roll sleight of hand check.
Oh shit. This doesn't go well. Oh god. It does not go well.
All right. At that moment, seeing that it's about to be discovered, Sventisco goes...
Oh no, she's choking. Help her.
It winks obviously at you through the pantomime.
Well,
They-
Athalor, you must be mouth to mouth. And I kind of wink at him.
She sticks her tongue out.
Athalor attempts to like kind of urge the brown robe to like spin around towards the tall girl. Like,
Yeah.
help her! Help her!
They are immediately distracted. The brown robe makes a brief gesture, like a swooping, grabbing, and then plucking. And as
Levy chokes
Sventisco
her.
is clutching at her throat, she goes, "Blah!" And her throat immediately opens and nothing comes out. Now the shusher and the brown robe are looking down at her. This is going to be one of those kids, isn't it? But they're distracted, and the amethyst flower is hidden.
Cool.
They start cleaning up the mess that was made. Did you get enough food over here? What happened over here? They're like, there's a few more adults than you might want, parsing the situation, cleaning up, fussing and bussing, making sure you got enough food, but also being like, all right, clear out when you're done here.
Uh-oh.
Did anybody have any unattended, unfinished business at dinner?
I want to know the status of Garnet's grapes.
Oh, I'm mostly finished, but I've left stuff on my plate.
They're now sloshing in the water that was summoned to extinguish the fire, so they're floating grapes.
Oh, I did put my plate down. That's true. So
Athalor just like stares pointedly at the grapes and then just kind of chuckles to himself.
I think Alex, when this whole commotion started, like went several steps away, and then kind of like probably kept distancing himself as more like adults like came around and started messing with stuff. But after they disperse and everything, then he'll start to like slink back over.
All right. Any objections to them cleaning up and then sort of shuffling everybody? All the kids, all the first years are being gathered in the main hall. They're doing another head count. Looks like they're going to be leading you outside shortly.
I probably just stick that crystallized flower into my brooch in the back of my hair, and
All right.
it's like nicely hidden, but it's there.
All right, so now you've got like a bun popping out, hiding this poofy crystalline flower.
Athalor will put his book down at the assigned bunk
Mhm.
after having dragged it across the...
Up like 5,000 steps.
Yeah. I think you can do without it for a couple of hours.
All right. Everyone is gathered together and marched out. The shushers sort of on standby, talking with each other. Clearly, their work day is almost over. The folks in brown robes have taken over. They're just the caretakers. They don't seem to have any other title. They're now tending to you. They're a lot more. They're gentle, but they are keen-eyed. They're not as irritated as the shushers are, but they're used to kids your age. They have wary eyes open for any sort of shenanigans. They herd everybody out into the forest. Just beyond this clearing where all these different buildings are gathered is a path that leads forward and then splits in 4 different directions. They take you down the second one on the right. They proceed a little bit, not too far, maybe a couple 100 feet into the woods, into another clearing. This one is completely open to the sky. The forest canopy that's been serving as a roof, obscuring your view of the sky, is gone here. The sun is just pouring down with golden warmth, and you can look up and you can see the towers and spires near the center of IOTH Academy rising up. There's a tower that floats and just sort of rotates around the sphere that you can kind of see as it goes. There's people traveling on flying carpets and brooms, just flying back and forth. That might be a giant flying whale. Somebody swears they saw a giant flying whale. You're not sure. But you have this greater vision of sort of the sky. You're fairly high up in the golden sphere, but you have this vision here. The clearing itself is also ringed by rune stones. Each of them at least twice as tall as an adult, covered with intricate markings, knots, and these intricate knot patterns are filled with individual runes, and each of them has a hole carved in at the top, and they're all facing inwards towards the center. And the floor itself here, as you get towards the center, is a great slab of stone upon which has been inscribed a strange pattern. You're all gathered around the stone, nobody stepping on it, and Sanepkur, Master of Novices, emerges from the forest, parsing through everywhere. The tall girl with the turquoise eyes immediately elbows Athalor at the mere prospect of elf eating.
Athalor kind of just like stares kind of at the dragonborn, like.
Mm-hmm.
And then just sort of like goes a little bit behind the taller girl.
All right. During your first year, I will be your head of instruction. In these groves, you will learn 1,000 things, but there is one thought that is bubbling in your heads at this very moment. And that is the matter of spells. We will not be rushing to the casting of spells. It would be like a young wormling dragon learning to fly by leaping off a mountain. there are 1,000 other lessons to learn first, and all of them will be here under the open sun. What you are here to learn is magic. I want to know what you think it is. Everybody roll 1d20.
Oh God, no. We're getting quizzed.
How do I roll 1d20? Do I
You just type /r space 1d20.
Oh, me and Alexander going at the same time.
Oof.
Oh, double.
Oh my god. All right.
I just rolled to use my inspiration on.
You can use your inspiration on this if you want.
Sure.
All right. Roll again.
Okay, a 6.
A 6. So,
Never mind.
Son of Cure points, and it's very unclear if she's pointing at Ariana or at Alexander. And then Alexander ducks behind, and now it's very clear that she's pointing at Ariana.
Oh. What is magic? Ariana is obviously very uncomfortable being put on the spot here because she's not really sure how to answer this question. Even though she knows what magic is pretty intimately in terms of just like what she knows and what her experience is, she knows that that's not the answer that this professor is looking for, and she's looking to sort of impress in this particular instance. So she does her best to try to come up with the right response. So she goes, magic is using the life source that we have in order to do good in the world. And she stares at her feet because she knows that it's not really what they're looking for.
No. But you're not wrong. Unfortunately, Alexander, having rolled a 6, his time has come, and the inevitable finger points towards him. You! What is magic?
Magic is using the powers in which people learn or have to do things that they normally couldn't.
To the point. You are not wrong. She points at Garnet next. What is magic?
I stand straight and sigh to myself because, like, I've answered this probably a million times. So I'm kind of rehearsing this out loud, just almost not robotic, but like I've done this before. So, magic is a power bestowed upon only certain individuals, whether born, learned, or blessed with. And there are many types of magic that I'm sure we're going to learn here at the Academy. And I'm very happy with my answer.
Half right.
I frown.
Points at Athalor. Magic. What is it?
Athalor kind of shuffles the arm as if the book were still there, as if to call upon its usual troves of knowledge, and thinks back to a conversation had with the fearsome Minotaur Untamala at an earlier stage. Magic is the lifeblood and the energy that flows through the universe. It can move between the realms at will, and it can be a tool, it can be a weapon, it can be used or use you, and it's almost as living as anyone who uses it.
She nods and doesn't directly respond. And then her finger points towards Sventisco, who stands up and just says, magic is fun. Everyone looks at Sventisco like she has two heads. Sanipkor tilts her draconian head, pulls it back. There is a piece of truth in what each has said. Here in this academy, magic is how we connect to the world. And through that, each of what you have said can be true. Your next lesson begins tomorrow at dawn. Do not be late. And shuffles off into the forest. Sventisco sort of her hair out of her face and rolls her eyes.
Lessons, just one question.
I hope so. This whole place is going to be easy.
I hope I got an A on that. I didn't think we were gonna get a test this early. I really can't get under an A.
Do you have exacting parents back home?
No, I have certain expectations of myself, as we all should.
Oh, inspiring, Garnet, he says with a hint of mockery.
So was your answer, life magic? And I wave my hands.
Well, not all of us could rehearse ours for days.
Well, that's because I can read. I just snicker at him.
For the rest of the afternoon, you are gathered once more in the central circle of the village and given a bit more of a tour of the area. There are 4 clearings in which lessons are given. There's a central hall where you gather. There is a small stone structure, not wood, off to the side that is the library and the reading room. Texts are not to be removed from there except with the express permission of the librarian. Fines will be assessed for anybody who loses their book in the woods, in the Babbling Brook, again.
Again.
In addition, you are not to stray from the paths that are illuminated by candlelight. If you see anything moving in the forest, you are not to go after following it. You are to be inside your lodgings when the sun sets. No casting spells on your fellow students. No using magic of any kind except in the 4 clearings where it is safe.
Pointedly, just like, yep, yep.
Are there any other questions?
Do we know where those clearings are?
Yes, there's a pathway that leads out of, like, from the back, and then it splits off into 4 directions. There are 4 clear paths with floating candles by them that lead to each of the clearings.
Okay.
Speaking of the candles, is there a clear day-night cycle?
Yes, there is. Even though the direct sunlight is obscured, it does get darker, and you can kind of tell.
Were there any pathways that weren't illuminated, or just like very obvious locations that like they didn't point out on the tour? Because Alex would try to kind of make note of anything like that.
Roll a perception check.
Sure. 9.
9. You didn't see any right off the bat.
That is the place to look, between the lights. Past their lines. We will find things there.
Does anybody else have any other questions?
How do we communicate with the outside world?
That's the neat thing. You don't. No, if you want to send letters, there is a scribe here who will take your letters and send them out as needed.
Sounds good.
Any other questions? Okay. Are there any questions after I do this?
Behold, an act of God.
Oh, I have
What
a lot of
happened?
questions now.
Power of sun, evil cannot abide the light. Gaze upon it and be dismayed.
Oh God, do I set something on fire again?
Yeah.
No,
sounds like
no,
that.
actually.
Oh, good. It's not my fault. this
One with
time.
the dawn.
But, Alexander, as you are settling in for just the next time that you sort of get a chance to sit down after everyone's been dismissed back to the lodges or welcome to run around and play as long as you're inside the central meadow, you notice that where the burn marks healed away, it's starting to hurt again. It doesn't feel like the caustic chemicals that seared you earlier. It feels like fire. It feels like uncomfortable levels of heat.
Is it like bearable or is it
Right
like...
now, it's bearable, but it's
Okay.
growing.
Alex, notice it and try to find Garnet
Mm-hmm.
again. Say, excuse me, Garnet?
Uh-huh.
So that magic you did earlier, that
Shh. I wasn't
Oh,
supposed to. Apparently,
so-
it's
sorry,
against the
sorry.
rules.
yeah, yeah, sorry, but I mean, thank you, but is there anything that happens afterwards when you do that? It's starting to like burning.
Are you getting burned again? Is it Ariana's fire? Did you put your hands in it?
No,
You should
no,
have let her handle it.
no. There wasn't any other fire. I didn't see it. It's just that those spots were. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I thought you might have known why that would
Oh.
happen.
Would I know?
No one's ever complained before.
Yeah, I've only got good reviews from this. I don't know, but I also just killed the flower, so maybe today is just not my day.
Maybe
I'm
it's
sorry. Is it?
no,
Did I
no.
mess up?
I don't think so. Can you? Is it possible, perhaps, if you tried again?
I
Alex, had
Yes?
you eaten any of that food that we had at dinner before?
Some of it, yeah.
Well, there's always a chance that you could have eaten something you're allergic to if you're feeling a burning.
Oh,
on his hands?
maybe. Well,
I'm not a doctor. How many vitamins does he need?
yeah,
He
you know
needs
about
a
the
lot.
vitamins. Maybe I could have eaten something. I don't think so. That's nothing like that's ever happened before.
Should we go talk to one of the elders? I'm like
I
holding
don't,
his hand, kind of inspecting the area.
You can't see anything wrong. It looks completely and perfectly healed.
It looks fine to me.
Yeah, I don't think we need to talk to anyone. If you could try again, and if it doesn't work, then that's fine. But
I must complete a long rest if I want to do this again. But I can try tomorrow. Is it really
okay.
bad?
Not right now. I think it's. You can maybe try tomorrow. Hopefully, it doesn't get worse.
We
I
should
mean,
tell an
it's-
elder if it gets worse.
Okay,
It's
I'll.
fire magic, right? Do I have any way to be able to tell if something is wrong?
Well, roll an Arcana check.
Oh God. Come on, fourth time. It's gotta be good, right?
A 7.
Ah, it's not good enough, I don't think.
You're not sensing anything out of the ordinary.
Doesn't
Would
feel like
the
something's wrong.
telepathic bond trait be able to sort of translate to pain empathy?
Possibly. I don't see why not. That's kind of interesting. What do you want to try?
Look, Alex.
You okay? Sure. If you think you can help, yeah.
So pointedly, he just like pushes the hand down to Alexander's side and sort of like
Mm-hmm.
claps his temples and then just sort of like presses his head against, seeing if they can make some kind of connection.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay. Athalor, roll a charisma check, just a flat charisma check with disadvantage, please, because of chat earlier.
Advantage.
Yeah.
I got disadvantaged by chat. Pooped upon.
6. Okay. You're searching for pain, right? You're trying to see if you can get in contact with the pain. And you're getting this jumble, right? You're not very experienced with this. You don't have a lot of focus. You're still very young. And the pain, it's hard to get through to the pain because you're picking up on a little bit of pain, a lot of fear and anxiety, but also just this brief moment of this yawning pit of your stomach, don't get out of bed for days, loathing, this absolutely like all-consuming self-loathing. You only get a brief spike of that for a moment. Leaves a very nasty taste in your brain, and the connection is immediately severed.
Yeah.
Alex kind of like stumbles back a little bit.
Oh.
Sorry,
I don't know, Alex. I think I'd have to diagnose you with missing home.
Aww.
Aw.
Athalor, in your mind,
This exceeds the mortal's emotional capacity. Interesting.
He kind of just like thinks, there's more there. We'll find it later.
Yeah.
Later.
But I don't feel what could be wrong. Maybe you're just nervous. Maybe you touched something in the woods that has a bad reaction. Did you touch nettles? Maybe.
I don't think so. I mean, if it's fine. If it gets worse, then I'll try to tell someone else. But thanks for trying, I guess. And maybe tomorrow, if it's okay for then Garnet, you can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with my hands today. I
No,
maybe
I
go and
don't-
get some gloves from like the bunk, and I put these gloves on. I shouldn't.
did you
touch
bring any
anything
gloves
anymore.
with you? Because you are allowed to wear them now that the big old day of ceremonies is over.
Sure.
All right. There's a little bit more leeway with personal attire. You still have your robes, but those are going to get packed up, and everyone's going to be given a tunic instead that you can just wear over whatever else it is that you're wearing. If you need plain clothes, they have extra tailors and clothes available for you, but otherwise you can wear whatever you want as long as you have that red sort of tabard over it to say, yes, I am a small child, please don't lose track of me in the forest. How does everybody spend the afternoon and the evening?
I ride home to my parents.
Okay. What do you write? You don't need to dictate the entire letter, but give me a gist of it.
I start talking a little bit about the people that I've met here and the ceremony and talking a little bit about how I saw Inril and Alyxander again and just kind of explaining how things are going. tell them I set a table on fire. Didn't get actually in trouble, but you know, it's good. It's good I did not get in trouble. But that we are all apparently sharing some kind of similarities in our magic or whatever is going through us with our life force or whatever, and that I'm excited about the friends that I've started to meet and make here. But that I miss them dearly, and I can't wait to see them when I get home one day.
For universal reference, how
Mhm.
long was the average trip to the academy?
Well, you took paths through the fairy otherworld. So
Mhm.
your trip was probably a matter of days, some very strange days.
Mhm.
Also, Ariana's. That path led, led through the fairy underworld. We're going to discuss the path that Garnet took later, but it was much longer. And Alyxander grew up basically at the feet of this place, so his journey didn't take very long at all. It took a single night.
I think that Athalor, it's also writing home that's going to be his bit, although I think he'll try to like remove the scribe from the equation and write his own letter if it can convince him.
Yeah, no, you can write your letters. You just have to deliver them to the scribe, who will take care of them. And the scribe is available to write letters for people who aren't already literate.
Okay, that makes sense. So in his letter, he would recount how they made their psychedelic journey through the Fey underworld, and how we saw Inril again, and how we saw the statue of the sage. It was nothing like he remembers. They all have so many different forms, and that IOTH was surprisingly, how would he word it? Thinking that this may well be read by the scribe. IOTH was relatable.
Hashtag relatable.
And finally, that he thinks he may have made some friends here already.
Excellent.
Oh, and that there's no hum at this like there is at home.
Yeah, it's oddly
There's
quiet.
no place like home.
You can hear, like, there's wind, there's birds, there's crickets and frogs at night, all sorts of wildlife noises and the constant sound of running water, but that the hum of the gyre is not there, and it's difficult to sleep without that. Well, to trance, because you're an elf. What about Alex or Garnet? How do you spend the afternoon and the evening?
Yeah, after things dispersed, Alex would retreat back to wherever the lodging area is, his bed, and take these loose leaf papers that are in this book and kind of take them, flip them over, and take out his cartographer tools and just start mapping out all of what he's like walked through in this academy so far, just making maps of the journey from the amphitheater area, noting where all the like other groups of students went and to where we are, and then specifically getting really detailed when it's like our grove area, but just mapping everything out on paper.
Awesome. Did we include proficiency for that on your character sheet?
Yes, I believe so.
Sweet. Just give me a roll of cartographer's tools using wisdom or intelligence.
Wisdom or intelligence? All right. 16.
Awesome. You start drawing a really good map. It's difficult to convey 3D space, so you got some isometric layering going on, but it's coming together. How does Garnet spend the evening?
I probably try and go for a walk, probably down the path where the candles are. And maybe once I'm out of sight, I might step off the path by 10 or 20 feet, like path in sight, just to, as soon as I see no one there, I go off the path. And then like my facial muscles all relax. Like I've been having kind of like a cheery like face. I've been really friendly, but like all of that comes back to like the exhausted face. And I find like a tree with some rough bark on it. and I start very aggressively rubbing the top of my hand with the birthmark on the tree as a way of like trying to scratch off the mark. And I'm just kind of like half psychotic, just like repeating out loud, like, this is all your fault. This is all your fault. This is all your fault. And I'm just like rubbing it to the point where maybe it bleeds a bit just to erase the mark, but then the mark maybe comes back. And I do that for a bit and probably get annoyed that it's not working and kind of come to my senses and go back to the path if no one is there.
No one's there. And as soon as you step off the path and the evening sun is going down and the trees are thick and the woods are dark and the light of the floating candles has faded, you can see crisp, clear, and perfect. You have nothing. You feel that no matter what is out there in this larger forest around the grove, you have nothing to fear. There's a part of you that believes that whatever is out there should be afraid of you instead.
So once I come back to the path and kind of regain my senses, like I'm really frustrated and like just kind of not having a breakdown, but just like really frustrated. And then I put the gloves back on and head back to camp once because I realize, okay, I should be in my lodging, but once it gets dark, and even though I'm comfortable and fine where I am, I go back before it gets dark.
All right.
Can Athalor see her return in the dark with his dark vision from a window? Just mental note for Athalor.
So you spying on me, you cheeky.
You cheeky bugger.
All right.
I speak British.
Is that on your character sheet?
Oh, yeah.
All right. So before we continue and move on into the night itself, we did have a couple of treasures from chat that I want to adjudicate. So let's go ahead and have everybody in the party roll. How many did we have? We've got like 3 treasures. No, we've got 4 different treasures. Oh, that makes it simple. One for everybody.
Yay!
Let us.
4 NPC students.
Prezzies.
Yeah, it's just the turquoise eyes lady. She's just gonna get all of them. All right, let's start with Ariana. Do me a favor and roll 1d100.
Oh, cash money.
Okay, 79. You are, in the course of your work, over the next, year that's going to transpire between this episode and the next episode, you are going to come into possession, whether you stumble upon it, research and scribe it yourself, or are gifted it, of a level 1 spell scroll.
Ooh.
So you're going to get a level 1 wizard spell that we can hash out and let you pick between adventures. You'll be able to copy that into your spell book or use it once, either way.
Nice.
Let's go ahead and go with Garnet next. Roll 1d100. 64.
A Nintendo.
Nintendo Switch with Pokemon Unite on it.
The new OLED.
50 V-Bucks.
Oh, God.
Wow.
And the winner of 500 Valorant points is...
No.
No, actually, you are going to come into possession of a potion of climbing. I will leave it up to you to decide if this is something that you found during the mysterious period between your backstory and arriving here. So if it's something that you already have with you, or if it's something that you're going to concoct over the next, again, year or so.
I could probably learn how to make it here.
Cool.
I think would make sense.
Let me grab another book real quick, but while I do that, Athalor, roll 1d100.
Pog. Bam. 55. Just above average, baby. Like in everything.
55. All right. Well, there's a non-zero chance that you may have just discovered my cat.
I get a magical pet.
Kitty.
Kitty.
We've done
Ooh,
that
kitty.
one. And while we're waiting here for me to page through, let's just go ahead and have Alexander roll 1d100.
Sure. 52.
All right.
Ooh.
Also just above average.
Above average guy.
Hey, we're all above average.
Yay!
Like disadvantage. It's so funny.
Everybody always thinks that they're above average until they're not.
When everyone's above average,
No one will be. All right. This will work perfect. You have found an item that was lost in the woods. It was probably lost by somebody who is missing it, but if you make any attempts to return it, they're not going to turn any fruit, at least until next episode. A ear horn of hearing that you can use to eavesdrop on people.
Is that Athalor or Alyxander?
It's Athalor.
Ooh.
Oh,
We got
you
dark
little
vision
spy.
and long hearing now. Yes, I'm building up my spy build.
Student detective.
And
Little Nancy Drew over here.
Alexander, one of the things that you brought with you up from the Undercroft, where you've spent more time than perhaps you'd like to remember, was an old, faded, classic, pointy blue with stars on it wizard hat. It has seen better days. Some of the patches are falling off, but it is undeniably magical. You can use this hat to attempt to cast wizard cantrips that you don't actually know.
Okay.
That's busted.
It's got
Oh,
like
nice.
brain osmosis on it from a previous wizard.
Yeah. Did he be wearing it
I can feel the brain goo.
Did he be wearing it to
Gryffindor.
attempt to cast the cantrips?
Yes, you have to be wearing the wizard hat. The
Okay.
robe. You don't have to be wearing the robe and the wizard hat. You just need the robe. The wizard
Like
hat.
Just the hat. Okay.
Just like the sorting hat when it puts on the grove.
Yeah.
And it only works once a day. You have to take a long rest before you use it again. And it's not a surefire thing. So once a day, you can try to use a wizard cantrip, which is particularly useful for your character.
Yes, it is.
All right. That sorts out all of our treasures. Before I start moving towards our conclusion here, let me just see if there's anything else that I'm missing out on. No, I think we're good. The night, again, is full of pleasant breezes. The temperature is just cool enough to the point where using a blanket feels good. But if you prefer not to sleep with a blanket, you're probably going to be fine. There's a fresh breeze blowing over. They closed the doors of the dormitory, but the high windows are still open. So there's a fresh breeze above you, but there isn't a draft on you. It keeps the air nice and refreshed. There's all sorts of sounds. Again, there's a creek nearby that's bubbling. There's frogs croaking in the creek and crickets. The occasional owl you can hear hooting here and there. For folks who are not used to this sort of wilderness, it can be a little bit alarming. It can make things a little bit difficult to sleep. But for folks who the white noise works for, they just get knocked right out. How does Ariana sleep?
I think Ariana sleeps well. You know, she feels very comfortable. She feels very at home. Yeah, she made a couple of mistakes on the first day, but she is nonetheless excited about getting a chance to improve her magic ability and keep in touch with her family. And she just feels like it was a great end to the day.
Oh, I can't hear him anymore.
Everybody gets 1 XP because the Dungeon Master was muted. Now, we're not normally tracking XP, but if I do that 300 more times, then you're golden.
Yeah.
How does Garnet
Get
sleep?
down?
She probably isn't bothered by the noises. Like maybe
Mhm.
this is a different environment that she's used to sleeping in, but it's probably like a lot of heavy thought and just has a lot of trouble sleeping. So probably takes a long time, like an hour to fall asleep, but eventually does.
Okay. Athalor, when we discussed your time in the refuge, refresh me. When the Alfar go into a trance, they always have the memories of their ancestors until they start to hit like that adult marker. And if I recall correctly, Athalor hadn't hit that point yet, so he doesn't go through his own memories yet. Does that?
He committed one memory.
Okay,
Right
so
at the end.
okay, so he's just had his first sign of elf puberty, which takes like decades to go through. So, what does he? How hard does he find it to trance tonight? Does he settle in pretty easily?
Very hard without the hum. He like probably has been on raggedy sleep for days from the psychedelic journey, and if he could slip out, he'd probably try and climb on the roof so that he could hum to himself without waking up everybody else.
Okay, roll a stealth check. All right.
Oh, I still have disadvantage on.
I mean, that might be accurate.
Wait,
Give me a check to
still
chance
is.
this, because I'm pretty sure. Yep, we still have one disadvantage in here for you. Yep. And there's still one waiting in the works. So you got a 13. You made a little bit of noise. You haven't noticed yourself being caught yet. Roll an acrobatics check. Also with disadvantage, because this is the last disadvantage in the docket.
This one isn't quite as powerful.
Oh no. Oh no. What happens as you try to climb up into the rafters and get out onto the roof? What happens to our boy?
I imagine he's about to slip and fall in a bush with a much louder and non-stealthy into a leafy crash.
All right. Out the window, not up onto the roof, up and over with a leafy crash. Now we turn to Alyxander, who has not been able to sleep because two things have happened. One, the burning has gotten worse. It's gotten harder and harder to ignore as time goes on. Two, the cold voice of the messenger hasn't said anything in hours.
I guess, yeah, it's been a day for Alex. Probably just very like emotionally and like mentally just like drained from all the anxiety of at least the first day. Now that he's kind of in bed, at least like that part kind of washes away, but still just drained from it. But then the pain still keeps him up, and he can't find any sleep. And he'll try to like inwardly try to like talk to this being and just kind of check up on them. It's like mentally just say like, hello, are you there?
When you do that, the pain in your hands flares up as if you touched a hot stove. And there's no response.
I think, yeah, Alex, a lot of it's looking kind of doomed for the sleep angle. No response there, so he'd try to sneak out.
Okay.
Would he hear the scream and crash?
I think that dramatically / comedically, the best thing to do is to start his sneak attempt and have the crash happen in the middle of that. So give me a stealth check, please. A flat stealth check. Now, I believe you might have inspiration still floating around somewhere.
I used one inspiration earlier, so that should have been my one. But 15.
Okay. As you start,
15.
as you start trying to sneak out past the caretakers who are keeping watch on the dormitory at night, you're confronted by one, and you're not sure, man. she's got an eye out, right? You haven't seen her blink. How are you supposed to? And at that exact moment, like Dave, if you could do the honors.
Beautiful.
And the caretaker turns around, giving you the perfect opportunity to slip out of the building.
Zooms.
All right. You sneak your way out. You can hear a bit of a commotion. Do Garnet or Ariana wake up? Or are they kind of sound sleepers?
I don't think I wake up.
Probably wake up to the yelling of outside.
All right.
The Athalor helm.
And is Alyxander going to... What's he going to do as this hubbub emerges? He's out. He's scot-free. What does he do with this open break?
Yeah, he just kind of thanks whoever that this distraction helped, but says, thanks. You're this one on your own. I got my own things to deal with, and just tries to like scamper off towards a pathway that is not lit up by any candles or anything. Just towards one of the ones that he thinks that no one would be around. Just wants to be in a very secluded area.
Okay.
He's gonna try something.
All right. He makes his way out to a very secluded area. Athalor, you've just fallen into a bush and made a very loud noise, and there is a hubbub from inside. What are you going to do about this conundrum?
Can I use my dark vision to see where Alex is going?
You're a little distracted because you just fell into a bush, but chat did just shower healing. It did just shower you with healing, so I think you recover rather well. It was a very comfy bush. Thank you, chat.
I think it's more of a check for like who's coming for me, and then like seeing Alex leaving. You're like,
okay, roll perception. I was going to give you disadvantage from the ow. I just hurt myself, but I'm going to call that healed by chat.
Let's go. Thanks, chat.
But I'm pretty sure that somebody else just gave you disadvantage in chat as well. So
here we go again, baby.
There is a cap on that does run out. Give me that disadvantage roll. A 1 and a 2. Oh my, yeah.
You're blind.
What? Translate this for me. What's going on in the world of Athalor? Why did he just fail so abysmally?
Athalor, upon landing upon the bush, snapped back, hit the back of his head on the muddy ground, and right now, all that Athalor can perceive are just comical stars. Or ducks flying around. He's fucked in terms of being able to slink off after Alex. He's currently in a confused Pokemon state.
He hurt himself in his confusion.
Alex actually goes to run off because he has a plan in mind, but then he like feels bad and he wants to like double back and try to help.
Okay. You see a bush splattered with mud. You see caretakers walking out. They're holding aloft lanterns that are glowing with a magical light. They're immediately swarming over the area.
Inquisition.
Yes. Nobody expects the nursery inquisition. They're going to be, because he beefed his perception roll, they're going to be on top of him before he even has a chance to respond. Garnet and Alyxander are both awake. Alyxander can see what's happening. Garnet is just aware that there's a hubbub. So I'm going to take Garnet first, then we're going to go to Alyxander, then we're going to wrap up. So is Garnet doing anything with this situation?
There's like windows, right, in our lodges.
They're pretty high up, though.
Oh,
You'd have to...
so it's not something.
That's a lot of falling.
Yeah, I probably just open the door and like look out what's outside.
All right.
And see if there's danger or something.
One of the caretakers immediately tells you to go back to bed.
Okay, I'll probably tell them like, is everything okay? I heard a scream.
Yes, everyone's fine. Someone's in trouble, but nobody's seriously hurt.
Okay, I close the door and go back to bed.
Alyxander, the caretakers are swarming upon Athalor, about to scold him, give him demerits, deduct points from the grove, something or other. What are you going to do?
Oh man, I mean, Alex is he had his plan on mind. Did double back a little bit, but I think after like observing the situation and seeing it, he thinks it's like too risky to get involved, and then he keeps going on his way.
Okay.
He like had a moment, yeah.
All right. Athalor, you immediately find yourself plucked from the bushes, surrounded by 2 or 3 caretakers, all in their brown robes, all with their lights glowing in your face, all of them scowling disapprovingly at you. They give you a once-over to make sure that you're not broken.
He kind of reacts viscerally to the light with how his perception is currently basically chicken stars and fuckery. I thought there'd be a balcony.
Students are to stay in the dormitory from sundown to... No, it's the other way around, isn't it? Yes, it's the other way around. From sundown to sunrise. That's the exact thing I just said. Oh, you take care of him, all right? Wash this mud out of his hair. And in the morning, for this one, the labyrinth.
What?
Are you going to jail?
Now, off to bed with you before you get into more trouble.
Athalor's kind of like just dumbfounded and dazed, and he kind of walks off in the wrong direction, obviously still a little bit.
Immediately, hands on shoulders, steered right back. No nonsense.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, we'll see. It's just kind of a flurry of vague affirmations as he stumbles back to the dormitory.
Garnet, you're able to just vaguely hear Athalor mumbling nonsense and being scolded on the way back as you drift off to sleep. Alyxander, what's your plan once you get out into the woods?
He gets out to a secluded area, and nothing has seemed to work for healing these burns, and the voice isn't talking to him. So he's kind of desperate for some kind of solution at this point. And that little magical door in his head that has opened once to do something. He tries to just mentally unhinge, just wanting something to come out and something to happen.
As you close your eyes and reach into yourself for that shock of frigid power that's flowed through you before, it's completely and utterly gone. And that's where we're going to end tonight, folks. Next time, we'll go ahead and see what the labyrinth is. We'll see if Alyxander has any magical powers left over. We'll advance a year, do some classes. This has been a ton of fun. Thank you, all 4 of you. I'm super excited to have you at my table.
That was so fun.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, that was dope.
All right. Have a good whatever time it is where you are, folks, and goodbye.